It is not looking good. That's what President Trump tweeted late tonight, as it is looking more and more like the government will shut down.
Lawmakers are trying to hash out a deal. A partial shutdown will begin at midnight if Congress does not pass a funding bill. ABC's Kenneth Moten has more on the ongoing negotiations.
Tonight, down to the wire, no deal between the Republicans and Democrats to fund the government.
And I think there's a deal in the next 24 hours.
White House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney telling CNN a weekend deal and vote could still have the government up and running by Monday. President Trump involved in the negotiations, inviting the top Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, to the White House for a 90-minute meeting.
We made some progress, but we still have a good number of disagreements. The discussions will continue.
Trump tweeting later, excellent preliminary meeting.
Unlike some of my Republican colleagues, I'm glad they're talking, and I think President Trump's a good deal maker, and maybe we'll get a deal.
But late tonight, Trump back on the attack, tweeting Dems want to shut down in order to help diminish the great success of the tax cuts. Democratic lawmakers are fighting for guaranteed protections for nearly 800,000 undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children.
Where's the urgency when it comes to dreamers? There is an urgency. There's an urgency in their lives because of the uncertainty of tomorrow.
Senate Republicans pushing a 1-month funding measure, hoping to sway Democrats with a 6-year extension of the Children's Health Insurance Program. Frustrations evident on Capitol Hill.
This is the greatest country in the world, but we do have some really stupid people representing it from time to time.
If there's a government shutdown, lawmakers will still get paid, but 800,000 federal employees will not. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
All right, so now what? Tonight, Senator Mark Warner is among many lawmakers urging his colleagues to stay in session until they can agree on a budget. Warner says Virginia is probably the state will be most affected by the shutdown because of our concentration of military and government workers.
And we shouldn't put people through this kind of stop and start process that unfortunately the White House and the Republican leadership has laid out. I know as a former business guy that if you start and stop a government operation, or for that matter, any contract, at the end of the day, you end up costing the taxpayer a whole lot of money.
All right, here's a look at the impacts of the shutdown. People will still get their Social Security benefits. Another thing that will not be affected, travel. Airports will remain open. Air traffic controllers and TSA workers will still be on the job. Amtrak trains will still run. If you need a new passport, you can still put in your request, but your application may be delayed. And you may still have some access to national parks and war memorials. We'll continue to monitor the negotiations and let you know about the potential impacts to you and your family.
At home tonight, Virginia Beach is not going down without a fight. Today, the city said it will vigorously defend a lawsuit filed against them earlier this week by the developer who was supposed to build an arena at the oceanfront. Well, that deal fell apart back in November. Robert Boyd has the latest on the developments.
Well, let's face it, the oceanfront is pretty dead in the wintertime. Business owners say this arena would have been a big boost for the economy. So they say when they found out a deal wasn't going to happen, well, they were depressed. When they found out the city was getting sued, they were angry.
It's disappointing that it's not going to happen now. As a potential boost for this area, obviously, especially in the wintertime when it gets pretty slow here on the oceanfront.
Jim Polimas is the manager of Il Gardino on Atlantic Avenue. He was planning on being neighbors with a brand new 18,000-seat arena. So hearing that the deal fell through was bad enough. Then he found out the developer is suing the city for $140 million for breach of contract.
It is a little worrisome, especially if if they have facts to back up their claims that they were ready to go and the city didn't want to do the deal. It's definitely very worrisome.
Haim Marco, owner of Scrambled, also on Atlantic Avenue, says it's the kind of thing that will scare future developments away and could send the city into financial turmoil.
Now the city going to pay what they should be making money off. They're going to pay somebody because they get sued for that, $140 million. Oh, give it to me and I'll build it.
The developer, Mid-Atlantic Arena, LLC, issued this statement. Mid-Atlantic Arena, LLC, greatly desired to bring an arena to Virginia Beach, not a lawsuit. But since that is now impossible, we have no choice but to ask the courts to help us recover our significant investment, as well as lost revenue, and rebuild our standing, which has been considerably impaired by the city's breach of contract. The city responded. The city will vigorously defend this lawsuit. We are confident that the actions taken by the city were in good faith and in full compliance with its contract rights and its obligations to the public. Marcos says Virginia Beach better win or they will be held accountable.
Maybe we need to change the city council because I don't think they're doing anything here in Virginia Beach.
I reached out to the attorneys from the developer as well as the Virginia Beach city attorney, but both sides declined to do any sort of recorded interview. In Virginia Beach, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
People who live along the path of the proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline will soon see trees coming down. Dominion Energy says it has gotten approval to start clearing out trees and plans to begin the building of the controversial pipeline. The clearing will start in parts of Virginia and West Virginia, where Dominion has reached agreements with property owners. Dominion says it is still working to get more construction approved.
We're learning more tonight about the death of famous rocker Tom Petty. His family says Petty's death last year was due to an accidental drug overdose. His wife and daughter released the results of an autopsy tonight with a statement on his Facebook page. They say the coroner's report shows the overdose was caused by a variety of medications. Petty reportedly suffered from emphysema, a fractured hip and knee problems, but was still on tour. He had just wrapped up a tour a few days before he died in October at the age of 66.
Today, President Trump became the first president to address the March for Life. Huge crowds of anti-abortion activists gathered in Washington, D.C. today for the annual event. President Trump addressed them via satellite from the White House Rose Garden.
You come from many backgrounds, many places, but you all come for one beautiful cause: to build a society where life is celebrated, protected, and cherished.
Today, the Trump administration announced plans to protect medical providers who refuse to perform procedures such as abortions because of moral or religious beliefs.
Former FBI Director James Comey is adding professor to his resume. He'll join the staff at the College of William & Mary, teaching a course on ethical leadership. Comey will co-teach a class with another professor, but not in Williamsburg. The William & Mary alum will teach at the school's Washington, D.C. campus. Last year, President Trump fired Comey after Comey testified about the FBI investigation into Russia's election meddling.
We thought about everything that was going on with him, and we realized that he's somebody that we admire and respect, and felt like he would be an incredible resource for our students.
Comey starts teaching this fall. The course will primarily meet at the school's Washington Center. The class will meet at least once in Williamsburg, where they'll live stream the class back to students in D.C.
We have a couple of major closures to tell you about this weekend. First, the eastbound tube of the Midtown Tunnel is shutting down tomorrow night at 11:30. It will stay closed until 5 the following morning. Then Sunday night at 8, there are lane closures planned in the westbound tube. This is not a full closure, but alternating lanes will be closed each night, Sunday through Wednesday, from 8 p.m. until 5 a.m. The Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel will also be shutting down in a few hours for tide gate testing. All eastbound traffic will be stopped tomorrow morning from 2 a.m. until 3 a.m. Then the westbound side will be stopped from 3 a.m. until 4 a.m. Drivers may be stopped for up to an hour while the tide gates are lowered. If you plan to be out overnight, use the Monitor Merrimack instead.